if you so what's really important when you're doing EVAs is that the QuickBooks the lines in QuickBooks or the codes that you use line up equivalent the same as your estimate. So whatever your codes are in QuickBooks should be the same as in your estimate. So in our estimate, it's O1, OL, OM, OS. And I think you guys do the same. L is for labor, M is for material, and S is for subs, right? So I think you guys already do that. So that being said, our accountant just pulls an EVA on one day of the month, every month the same, and it's just the most up-to-date expenses that are put into that job. Obviously, you guys are pretty familiar with this. Obviously, you got our estimated cost, which came straight out of, we dumped this in from Co-Construct, and this is what our estimated cost was for O1 permits.
So can I stop you for a second?
Yep.
So why not just use Co-Construct for this? Co-Construct has this functionality, correct?
Not that I know of.
Oh, no?
Well, Builder Trend.
No. Well, Co-Construct, because we don't put the expenses in Co-Construct. We put our expenses go into QuickBooks. So like every receipt, every expense, everything, QuickBooks is how we track our expenses for the whole company and by job, obviously. So
we're tracking through Builder Trend.
And if Builder Trend does that, then that's fine. They just combine the two, and that works. Yeah. But essentially, but what we do is, I mean, the ideal behind it is once a month, the same time each month, we pull a report on what we've spent on that job by line item, and then we go line item by line item in the WIP, which is here. And this is an actual WIP for Soleil that my team just did. If you guys, I'm gonna zoom in for you here. So these sorry. Zoom in here. So same thing. These 1L MS, they line up exactly with what's in QuickBooks. So obviously our first line item, sorry, we're getting blocked here. First line item is our budget with change orders, our cost to date. This is the input from the PM and the PD here. Projected minus cost over and under. And then so this is what they think it's going to, this is what the projected over and under, that this is what they think it's going to be. This is the over under. So then that's your WIP number, our current WIP minus prior last WIP, what they thought it was going to be. And so we'll actually have $10,000, we'll have $10,175 additional that we overestimated this, or pulling it from somewhere else. I don't know where they're pulling it from specifically, but obviously there's 13,000 in the budget and we're only going to spend 3,000 or 2,925. So come over here. So then the project manager and the project director on every job, and so on whoever the project manager on Soleil is with their project director will go through and they'll look at each line item, what's been spent and what the budget is, and they'll determine whether or not that should stay the same or if it should increase or decrease. And if they, in the sense of like, they know something is going to change, and so they change it. Like here it says window issue. So their budget was $1,200. They've spent $5,780. So they're going to be in the hole, right? So and the reasoning is a window issue, and it could have been the same from last, and obviously the last time it was 2,400 different. So this, if I scroll over, let's see what the WIP was last time for that line item. So this was last month when they did it 10/7.
So your WIP is tiny compared to mine. Well, I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns.
That's per job. This is a single job WIP.
Yeah, this is a single job.
Oh,
so this is just one job. So this is all the line items for this one job. So on this job, the estimated cost is total is $211,000. We spent $120. We're projected to spend $212 based on the inputs by the project manager and the project director as the job goes on, and which gives us a net difference, actually a net loss of $1,300 on this job. So we're going to be $1,300 in slippage on this job. When they did the WIP at this time, that's what they were projecting. When they did it this time and made their changes, now they're projecting we're actually going to have $52 of grippage. And you want to be conservative early on and not say, well, demos looks like we're going to get done with, demo faster. So we're actually going to have some grippage there. It's better to just wait until for certain and then put those numbers and then make the adjustments. So
Okay.
in this job, I mean, at this point, you can see it's almost done. Our estimate is 211. We spent 164,000. Our PM and PD thinks we're going to ultimately spend 211, 217, which is a $52 in grippage, or basically right on our estimate, which is great for a job this size. So this would have been a $360,000 job. Actually, I can tell you exactly what it is. Over here.
I don't.
353,000. So I mean, so we go line item by line item each month, and then we make the adjustments based on what we think that particular line item is, and they know, and they in co-construct, obviously they know it says exactly what it is. This is a good example of when I was telling you last week about where it looks like here this is labor at 3L is demo. So we assumed that we were going to demo it in-house. So we put in 60 in our budget, $6,575 in labor. Obviously we subbed it and we gained some grippage, right? So we subbed it to someone, got a fixed cost for $6,295, which is why we're over here. And we gained the grippage on that. So that's where you see the negative here is your grippage, and then positive here means it's over. So, but at the net difference of those two, we actually made $300 in grippage on demo on this job. And you can do that for anything. You can sub it for, that's what we were talking about last week, where you guys can assume your guys are going to do it. And if you get the opportunity of the project to sub it out and get a fixed price, then there's no risk for you, and you have the opportunity to get grippage because you've already sold it to the client at this price plus markup.
Okay.
That makes sense?
It does make sense. Just if I can include you in an internal conversation with me and Justin, I don't. So we have a whip that our accountant can produce that basically represents the bottom line for each job.
Okay.
Of slippage and grippage, and then as far as, I don't really see the necessity for us to have our accountant produce a job by job whip that's line item by line item, because we do have that visibility in Builder Trend to line item by line item.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't. If Builder Trend does it, then that's fantastic. I've never used Builder Trend before, so and I'm sure that's probably what they did. They probably try to save a step, and so they brought that functionality into Builder Trend. If co-construct does have that functionality, I don't know about it. So
because we can do EVA with reports on Builder Trend.
Yeah,
cool. And this answers the question as to how granular it is. It's line item by line item.
Correct. And then that gives you the opportunity. We do it every month, and it gives you the opportunity. The whole point of it is it gives you the opportunity to, one, confirm that you're staying on budget, and two, when you're not on budget or you're not on target, let's say it's a mistake that you've lost money, you look for other opportunities to make that up so you don't lose any GP. But also it gives you the ability to follow the job and make sure that your estimating is accurate for what you think it's going to be throughout the job. And when things come up and you see that you're starting to get close to what your budget is, then you can kind of make executive decisions on a particular thing, on what it is you need to do to make sure that you stay on budget. Because there's always things you can do. Sometimes, like my PMs, they'll just take the easy road, right? Because the easiest thing to do is just take a $10,000 estimate you already got from HVAC guy and just say, okay, here's the job you already estimated for $10,000, roll with it. But if they know that they're over or on a different line item, they might do the homework of calling a different HVAC company and saying, hey, I got this job, I got $8,000 in the budget, here's a scope, can you do it? And if they say yes, well, that just makes up $2,000 in grippage. They wouldn't have done that before, because if they didn't know that they were over budget, they would have just said, call whatever HVAC companies in co-construct and hired them and paid them $10,000. They wouldn't have done any extra. They wouldn't have hustled. They wouldn't have hold the subcontractors more accountable. So, for example, before we had the PD system, that the PMs would spend a lot of time cleaning up behind the subcontractors, but that costs money. You know, I mean, every hour they're there costs $50, right? So every day they're cleaning up behind the plumber or the electrician, whatever, when they come in and do their shit and leave. Now they're like, I don't want that to hit my budget, because it's going to cost me. It's going to, if I'm spending an hour here cleaning, it's going to cost me money. So now they're saying, Mr. Subcontractor, hold them accountable to do to clean up behind themselves and do that across all your jobs. You're making up a lot of money. It doesn't seem like a lot when you're talking about just 1 hour, but you do that times how many ever days there are in a job and how many ever jobs you got going on, right? So just things like that, it gives you the opportunity to make decisions that help you to stay on budget. If you guys are already staying on budget and you're just looking at the totals, then that's probably fine. When you're only doing 5 or 6 jobs, it's probably easier to do. It gets a little bit more risky when you start running 20 and 25 jobs, and you got some that are losing and some that are winning, and you're just hoping for the best. That's kind of like flying by the seat of your pants. I don't think you'd want to do that. We want every single job to be on budget. That one because we can trust the finances. We know how much money's coming in. We know what our GP is. And we know what our net's going to be. But 2, we can make sure that our estimating is accurate. And because we don't estimate accurate, then it's useless. Then it's just thumb in the wind and guessing, right? So, does it make sense?
Yeah. Can I add something real quick? So the PD and the PM are in this meeting. Is in our so my concern is our plan is to bring a PD on the start Q2, but we're not even going to run a job process. So coming in and running this process, having run it, because if we signed a job.
Can I stop you real fast? You're breaking up really bad, so I'm only hearing every other word. Are you, Lane? Are you
having an internet?
Yeah, I can't. I was getting every other word from him too.
Okay, so it's on their end. Then is there any way to improve that, or no? I just don't want. I mean, I just can't hear what you're saying.
They might need to come back in.
Okay.
Hey, can you guys?
Oh, you're good. There you are.
We're gonna try something real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, can you guys not use the internet? Did you hear that?
Okay, hold on. We're on my mobile hotspot then.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are we good?
It's much clearer now. So if you could just repeat everything you just said, I'm sorry.
Okay. So my concern is, even if we signed a job today, we are not going to begin construction likely until beyond Q2. So we have no, like, the initial thought was, I'm going to work as PD for a while, learn the process, but like I'm going to have, at this point, if we start with a new PD at Q2, beginning of Q2, I will have no experience having run through this process except the design portion, because we won't have any projects beginning construction that soon.
Well, we're going to stay with you and continue to train you through it as we go through it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So is like,
this is all post the job already starting. EVAs don't, I mean, obviously EVAs and whips don't really matter until the job is already started. Only thing that on this that really matters is the estimate. Whoever's building the estimate and making sure it's accurate. And then that's done in the design phase and then sold to the client. But once that's done, this only comes into play once the job's already in construction.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that. What we're not doing is we're not meeting monthly, and we're not really controlling it.
Yeah.
And so that's where our future hope is, that we meet monthly and we control it. I'm interested in seeing how it is that the PM is more in charge of subcontractor awarding and getting subcontractor.
Breaking up again. I lost you.
Hey, Ken, what Vaughn's wanting us to go more in depth is our grippage. How our how our PMs run the grippage system.
Gotcha. They're probably gonna have to go out and come back in.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. There you guys are. Sorry, you went out for a minute there. Yeah, you cut out again, and then you just now came back. The last thing you said was you wanted to see, for what I understand is that you want to understand how the PM works with the subcontractors to gain grippage or keep the jobs on track. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think that just is
Okay.
the change in the future.
Yeah, it is.
When it-
So you want, so I mean, my project managers, all three of them, one pretty much know almost every subcontractor we work with. And we have an A, B, and C list of quality of subcontractor and what they can do, how well they do it, how they show up, all that good stuff. So
And their pricing.
and their pricing. So what happens is I'm the project manager on the job. I have access to co-construct on my phone or my iPad or whatever you give the guys. And I know that I got a plumbing coming in next week, and I've done this whip last month. And so when I was in framing, so I know that I'm already trending over. So I'm looking for opportunities to save money. So me as the project manager, I go into co-construct or builder trend, and I see that the estimator has hired A&B Plumbing or has gotten a price from A&B Plumbing for $10,000, and they're looking at the scope of work and determining whether or not they believe that another plumber would do it for less expensive, someone else they may know in their back pocket or off of the list that they have. And so they call, ABC Plumbing and give them the scope, give them the plans, spend 10 minutes on the phone with them, or meet them at the job site, however they want to handle it, and say, look, this is what I have in the budget. They already know what it's sold to the client for. And they say, this is what we have in the budget. Or do you want this job, or can you do this job, or will it fit in your schedule? And you do that across multiple trades, also across materials too. I mean, I think project managers, when they're not affected by GP, then there's a lot more waste. We've gotten very, very, very little waste now because they see a 2x4 go in the trash can and they feel like they're losing money. Where before the corporation or the big money machine was losing money, now it directly affects their pocket, and so they're a lot tighter on it. They're more driven to return things or better yet, leverage the other companies to do it for them. Right, our building supplier will pick up materials for $100. They'll come back and pick it up, $150, I think is what is the return fee. So they do the math. Does it make sense for me to load all this stuff up, organize it, return it, get a receipt, whatever, spend 3 hours doing that, where I could be, doing something productive and not have that loss of time, or spend $150 and let them come pick it up, and we get the return credit back towards the job, right? So, and these are all just things. Each thing is not major, but they all add up. If you do it across 50 line items on every job, all these things add up, and that's where you get from, our slippage was 9%, and now it's less than 0.5%. It's like 0.3%, because it actually affects them. And I think this whip, will actually be in grippage, which is fantastic across. We have $6 million in active jobs right now. So to have grippage on that much work across that many jobs is fantastic. What also this tells you, when you do it line item by line item, is and you do it across all these jobs, is you see trends of mistakes in estimating, missed things, and then we go and we solve those. So we would see we were continually missing a shower glass. It was always underestimated because we had $2,500 in there, and he would come in at $2,750 or $2,860, and we noticed that across all the jobs. So then we changed it and we raised that amount to $3,000. So we made sure we covered what it is. But you won't, unless you're doing it line item by line item, you would never catch those trends, if that makes sense. And that's just another thing that benefit from it.
Hey, so Vaughn, two best practices here is towards the end of each trade on each project, the PMs are looking at, do we win or lose versus the estimate, and then from there looking at the remaining trades to see if there's any fat that we can trim by going to a different sub from the pre-construction phase. That's number one.
That's the life I live right now, so I get it.
Yeah, and then number two is well, never mind. We'll just stick with that. So number two, that answers your question, Vaughn, about how do we tell if an estimate was underestimated or if it was due to I don't want to say bad management, but lack of active management. Is to look at monthly, look at the recurring slippages by line item across all our projects, historical and current, to see these patterns. And then if anything's in slippage and it's happening more than twice, then that means we need to look at that problem, solve that problem with SOP, and then roll that out to the company.
Yep. Just trying to find
scroll right, Ken.
So this is our, I can zoom in. These are the same line items. This is our estimate. This would have been a subcontractor here, probably 79. They would have got a fixed price from him for this. I'm certain of that. So, but we'll click on it and see. Yeah. So this is the scope and subcontractor, HVAC subcontractor, whoever that is. So they don't even have anybody listed. So I'm sure they have somebody, and it may, but I don't know who they decided to hire. But obviously someone's doing it. But that's what they have in the budget. And so this is what we can spend. This is what our estimate is. This is how much we spent so far. So when they do their WIP, like they're going to see the PM, again, they got 7 jobs going on, but they're going to see on this job, okay, $4,777 has been spent. What's been done? They'll know if the rough-in's been done. So that they'll put 2 and 2 together and say, okay, that was what I paid that was what they got paid to do the rough-in. There's still the balance of their contract to get paid after the trim out. So in the WIP, that we're still projected to be $7,950 of what it's going to cost. So there'll be a 0 net up or down on the WIP. And then over here, it's just our total price to the client, retail.
Yeah, I understand that. One of the things that we run into is we're getting hard bids for some construction contracts before we go to the contract with the client. So it's difficult to get grippage by hiring another sub when we've already reached out to the subs that we know and with the lowest price.
I mean, that is so then there is sometimes when we have to have that hard conversation of, Mr. Tile installation guy, we're running tight on this job. I know we agreed on 14,000. Would you, we want to work with you for the long term. Can we help this client out to get this job? Can we do it for 13,000? I mean, that's a tough call, but at the end of the day, he's still getting paid well. The client gets it done and you guys get it on budget. And if you guys continue to win and stay successful, he'll win and stay successful long term. You got to get these guys in a long-term mindset, not just the quick dollar mindset, which is what a lot of subcontractors have. So when you say, look, I've got, the next 5 jobs coming up here in the next year, then they're thinking about future money, and it makes more sense for them to work a little less expensive for you on by job. You don't want to have to beat them up all the time, but sometimes you just have to. And if they're a good sub, I very rarely, I can't remember a time a sub has ever said no. They always, even if it's a little bit, right? But it all counts. But if you don't care, that's the whole point of this system, is that the PM and the PD cares because they're getting paid out of it. So if it's higher or they can't make up that difference, if they're just getting paid $80,000 a year with a $10,000 bonus, they don't give 2 shits. They're just gonna charge the company, and you're gonna make less money. But the point of the system is it allows it to them to actually care and then use deductive reasoning and intelligent thought processes to try to figure out creative ways to keep the job on budget and or gain grippage. And that goes back to the conversation we had last week. Now they're motivated to, we're running tight on this job. It looks like we're gonna be a little under. Why don't I see opportunities for change orders for this client? So that, because our change orders are higher GP than our other. So it increases not only the job size, but it raises that GP up a little bit, gives them a little bit of cushion, and they're getting more money because they're getting more. Again, they're getting paid out of the GP. So if they sell a $50,000 change order, just like we did last week, a house had a sag in a floor, and they wanted us to do a $80,000 bathroom, and my guys, they would have done this in the past, but my guys were like, well, we're not going to put this bathroom with this floor sinking. So they went into crawl space, investigated, and ended up being like a $48,000 change order to put a triple girder under the whole house and jack up the center of the house. So we made like 70% GP on that change order, but that was all done by the PM. I mean, it was all instituted, done, sold, communicated to the client, and then gives it information to the PD, and then it goes to adds to the contract, and then they can make up some GP. So they're getting the GP off of that. Plus they're also it raises the GP for the whole job. It raises the money they're going to get from the job, which also raises the money you're going to get as a company from the job.
Yep.
What would be really useful is if we could see. So like, I'm assuming the PD job description has in there, meet with PM once a month and do a WIP report, right?
SOP, not the job description, but the SOP.
Yeah, it's in the SOP.
The SOP. Okay.
Yeah.
So So I realize I could go through, but is there a way to like for us to see in a snapshot all the meetings that occur in a month?
Yeah, I'll create
And
that.
having to dig through each individual job description and try and piece that together. Like these
Yeah.
are core monthly meetings between these members.
Justin, that's a super, super awesome ask. I will
We
have
can put
that.
that together.
Yeah, I will have that produced for you by the 16th, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. Why didn't I think of that?
Okay.
Because your
Okay, I
fucking
think-
brain works like a squirrel.
Do you have any other whip questions right now?
I don't have any whip questions. No.
Hey guys, one other thing. I just pinged Daryl. We're creating you guys a read-only access with view of everything inside our co-construct so that you can look at these reports.
Okay, I have Ken's login. I can burn the place down.
Please don't. No, I'm saying this on the recording for future Justins.
I'd never do that to you, Ken.
Please don't.
I'll share this with you guys if you want.
Justin, would you send me Vaughn's address, please?
Y'all's is different than ours, but this is our standard draws by job size. So under 250,000, up to 400,000, up to 600,000, and then over that, it's at my discretion.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, you guys don't have to follow this by any means. This is just what we do, and it works successfully. We're always ahead. We're never behind on money. Bank jobs are different because you have to get paid behind, but that's the exception to the rule. But this keeps us ahead on every job.
I don't know how Arizona works, but in Texas, final payment has to be 10% retainage. So it's just a matter of for all y'all that if Arizona is like Texas, just take 5% from the next draw and put that in your final.
Okay. So, but if you notice here, and one, there's two things you want to notice that is important. One, like I said, we're always ahead. We're never using our money. Two, we get contract signing and demo start. And demo start means the day we get there, right? So at that point, before we've even started construction, we have 45% of their money of the job.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Right. So, I mean, now we will have ordered materials and stuff, but almost all of that stuff's on LAR, right? All that stuff's 30-day, 60-day, 90-day accounts, right? It's not like we pay it in cash. It's not COD. So we have a majority of their money. And then again, everything, if you notice, is something they can't argue with. And you can't be like, they can't argue with us, and it's fixed, and it's the beginning of something. So not the end of something when it can be argued with. So demo start, framing, patching, delivery. It's very clear when the material shows up, money's due. When the rough ends start, so everything's that makes it. And we've learned to do that. And again, it works successfully. The other thing about this is that when you have a process and you have a standard, then clients tend to follow it instead of them wanting you to follow their standard. Because we have people lawyers come all the time. Oh, we want to pay this breakdown. No, this is either do it like this or we don't do it. It works for all the other clients. It'll work for you. We promise this is our standard, because it seems to be in construction more than other businesses that people seem they can just come in and make their own rules for companies. But that's not like, you don't go to McDonald's and say, I want you to cook my cheeseburger this way. Like you can't go in and give them, they have a standard, you follow their process. They have the business runs the way it runs, and then you get the product. So this is just,
I want you to bake my fries.
Yeah, exactly. Can I get my fries air fried? Absolutely not. Well, you're going to get them just like everyone else. If you don't want it, go somewhere else. But this works well for us. I know you guys, especially you got again, these are our standards because our average job size is 220,000. There's always going to be outliers. You got this big ass job you guys are doing or whatever. Like, we take those out, like do those on the small jobs and the big jobs, take the outliers out, do those on a case-by-case basis, but have a standard that works for you guys, and then have it. I mean, we even share this with the client. I mean, we'll share this, we'll tell them exactly what our standard is and doesn't change, and it goes in their contract. So, and we put it in their schedule, so the project manager knows exactly when they're collecting money, and the PD is motivated to collect money, obviously, because they want to stay ahead of the client, because the more money we get in, the more revenue we get. So,
what I don't see these accounting for is the slippage or grippage in the design process. Where does that show up?
None of this is design. This is all just construction.
Right, but theoretically, someone could have a credit coming from design that takes
Yeah,
that comes off that contract price, right?
yeah.
I theoretically, yes. Very, very rarely though. Very, very rarely.
And so generally speaking, they are either on budget of design or they're going to pay a little extra, and that's just treated completely separate from any of this. Okay.
Correct. So because this is just build, so let's go to design. Oh, Shank signed today. That's good.
Nice.
So let's go to ones that are these are just this literally just signed. Let's see.
Working on Voda for a while.
Yeah, and you can see it's not good, right? So
No.
we have that means we only made $1,000 on the design on this job. We charged 13,000. We spent 13. We actual spent 13,000, a little less than 500. There was an additional design fee, but either way, we only made 7% on this job. Whereas like Shanks, we charge 8,000. We spent 1,500, and so we're going to make 77. We're going to 83% GP on that job.
So why do you, if it's almost like a cost plus the way you're doing design, why would that happen?
Design team is not exactly a perfect science for us. It's our weak point. I mean, we have a 8 person design team now, and we're just that's our weakest point. I mean, that's what we struggle with is design. They're not, our design manager is not a good manager. She's a great designer, one of the best kitchen and bath designers I've ever had, but not a good manager. So we're our Q1 of next year plan is to fix our design.
Ken, to answer Justin's question too, is there, for example, because our design director is weak as a manager, there's billable hours that we don't charge against the retainer because it was clearly our fucking fault.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we have 2 new, like we have a lot of training going on. So we have 2 new people, 2 young directly out of architecture school. And so you really got 2 people billing the same job, doing the same task, if that makes sense. And that happens a lot right now. So we're not really making a lot of money on design. You can see, but I mean, in November, these are all the jobs we signed in November, which by the way, guys, November, we had a big month. We signed 1.5 million in November. So that's pretty solid for us because our target is $1 million a month. So, but you see we had 40, these are all GPs, right? So we have 42%, 14, 0, 65, 65, 60. So, but across the board, if you average, if you did that percentage total, if you added these, let's see what that, move you guys out the way here. That is 51,000 divided into 73,000.
Yeah.
So we made 22,000 out of 70. So that's about, what is that? About a 30% GP.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's not terrible. At least we made some, at least we made money.
Yeah.
And all the jobs got the construction. And then this, you can see here, I mean, this is what the PD told them their budget was, and this is where they ended up at. So this job, we came in under their budget. This job, we went over, but they completely changed the whole job. Like we started one direction and they came in and said, no, we want the kitchen on this side of the house. So that was a totally understandable. We originally started at 220 and they went to 360 because they changed it. Like this one here, same thing. We're over budget. I told you, when I tell you we're almost always over, everyone's almost always over. We're over 18, over 16. Shockingly, we're under 5,000 on this one. But almost all the time we're over budget. I mean, if you're over budget 10%, most people won't care. I mean, they kind of expect it. It's
well,
also,
a lot of that it doesn't tell us because we can't see it whether that's due to adds of scope, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We try. Well, so no. Yes, we don't know, but per what we talked about last week, because part of the PD process is that the PD is resetting expectations every time there is a change in scope. So in theory, that should be pretty close. If this started out at 150 and they said, well, we want to add a hall bath remodel, well, then the PD should say pause. That's not part of the scope. We need to charge an additional 30,000. You have to raise your budget by 30,000, and we're going to charge you another 3,000 for design fee. So both of those would raise up. So in theory, this actually would be the most recent highest budget with the additions.
I see. Okay.
Because anytime a scope changes, that's the great thing about having the PD in all those meetings and involved with the client, and because they're the one that sold them the job originally, generated the proposal, sold them the proposal, and know exactly what they wanted. Anytime something is added, again, they're paid in GP, they're motivated to get that additional money. If they're not paid in GP, they don't care. They're like, okay, just design whatever. We just need to get it done. Well, if you get paid a percentage of GP, you're like, no, if it's more scope, we need more money, and obviously the resetting expectations keeps the client where, a lot of times they say, well, they don't realize how much they're actually adding to the job. And if you wait till the very end of the design and tell them, then you surprise them.
Ooh.
No one likes surprises. Nobody. So it's better just to tell them, it's better at any time they change scope to just pause. Let's give you a ballpark number. Make sure you're okay with it. Because if they're not okay with it, fantastic. You save all the time, energy, and money you would have gotten designing it that they weren't going to do anyways. Right. Because we've done that in the past where someone said they want something, we drew it and it was too expensive. And they're like, oh, let's just cut it out. So then we lost. They paid us nothing and we lose all the time and energy and money. So this allows us to reset an expectations to at least, even if it's not perfect, it's close. Like if someone says they want to add a master bathroom, we're going to say, that's going to add 70 to 80,000 to your budget. Are you okay with that? No. Well, then we're not going to add it. Yes. Fantastic. Another 6,000 in design fee, and then we're happy to add it, Mr. Customer. And then they're off to the races. No surprises.
Do you want to say something?
Can we have a template of this report? Because I like it. And
I'll have it to you by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, this is just designed. So if you're looking at it, everything up, this is the most recent jobs that have signed at the top. So these are jobs that have signed. They've given us 10% to hold their spot, but they have not. You can see their measure meetings are in January, February. They've not been measured yet. So when we get 10% of their design fee, and then when the first measure meeting, they pay the other 90%. And then we go do the measure meeting that week. So these jobs have not been measured. All these jobs have been measured, but they're still a little ways out before they're going to go to contract. So meaning these are probably like January, February, March signs. We talked about this last week. These are the outliers. I'd like to keep those out. And then these are the ones that we're trying to sign this month. Like that's our goal is to get all signed this month. We were hoping to have that. And we were talking about this the other day, Lane, between this 400 and this 1.8, I told you we might have a $2.2 million month. That's how we would do that, by signing. We know that Gupta's almost 100%. Hagler has their contract, so they're probably 100%. Linzen is waiting on financing, but they're waiting to get approval on their financing. And Smith, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that.
We've been waiting on Gupta since May.
We got the plans from someone.
No, I know. I wanted Justin to know these guys came to us with an architect set of plans saying, hey, they're almost done. This is ready to submit to city. 9 months later and 30 grand of design fee, we had to go and fix the architect's plans.
So they abandoned the architect altogether and just.
Yep. And they're suing him.
That's a lot. We get that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So this
I'll share this with you.
Yeah, Lane, when you're doing that kind of meetings document.
Yes.
The meetings, who's involved, and also who's, the frequency, of course, but who's bringing the content.
Yep. So what I'll do is I'll give you the players, the responsibilities, and the objective.
Okay.
Will that work?
Yeah.
Awesome.
This particular tab of this document and project overviews is only edited by, you can see at the top, Matt Junker. That's our design manager. The person that is ultimately responsible for the profitability and the success of design is a person that should edit this, no one else. So she gets the EVA. We actually do this weekly, not monthly. So weekly, she'll get the EVA. She actually just got them yesterday. She's actually editing it today, so it's not finalized. So you can see she just edited 43 minutes ago. I actually texted her before the meeting, and she said, "I'm sorry that it's taken longer than I'm a little behind." So,
and just for my own curiosity, who sits in on this meeting? Just you and her, or who else?
No, there's this comes up at the PD meeting. They just use the data to make decisions from this. This is not a meeting. This is just a data. This is just a data dump, if that makes sense. So this is tracking where all the jobs are, but there is no meeting that we have with her. She just gets the report from accounting and then updates the numbers. And all she's updating, well, there's two things she updates. She updates the how much it's cost, which has, these are formulas in here that change the remaining and the balance and percentages, right? And then she updates if a job signs a contract, So whenever we sign a contract, I send it to I get the contract signed in Adobe in my email, and then I send it to the accounting department. I send it to the design manager, so she knows to move it down, and I send it to our architect who pulls our permit, so he's triggered to pull the permit, and I send it to the project director, so he or she knows to contact the client and say, thank you for signing the contract. Let's schedule our first meeting, our first on-site meeting.
I get that. So she updates this document, but then who else looks at this document and how often are they looking at it?
The PDs look at this with our operations manager every Thursday when they have their PD meeting.
Okay.
I look at it every Thursday after it's updated.
Got it. Okay. All right. Can we kind of transition into, because I think we're going to run out of time otherwise.
No, we're good. Hey, I got Zoom fixed, so we'll take as much time as you want.
Estimating. Yeah. So the first 30% estimate. I met with a designer today, and he has his own set of calculators. So it's in talking with him, I'm like, okay, I think it makes sense to eliminate the possibility of error for me to be able to use a calculator in a meeting to come up with a 30, what is it, 30, 50, 90? What are the
the 30, 50, 80, 100.
30, 50, 80, 100?
Yep.
Okay. So I think it would be really useful to walk into that first meeting and be able to walk through a calculator with the client and say, hey, your project is likely, with 30, and define 30% accuracy again for me. What does that mean?
That's just my way. Ken calls it ballpark pricing, but we're telling them like, look, your project is most likely going to be between X and Y based off of our historical builds.
Okay. So they're not necessarily ever hearing that 30%.
No.
Okay. All right. So we're just saying between X and Y.
Did I send you a proposal? One of our proposals? Okay. I thought I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see in the proposal, it has a range.
Quick question about the proposal. You told me a software was used for that, Ken. You told me it was done in Co-Construct, but I don't think that's right. No, it's done. What's the software, Ken?
That's just like a what do you call it? Kind of like it's nothing special. It's just like what do you make?
Hey. So it's made in Canva and then loaded up into Co-Construct.
Yeah. Okay.
We load it into Co-Construct, but the actual, I mean, it's once they accept it, but Canva is probably the program that they actually make it in. I mean, it's templates. You know what I mean? All they're doing is dumping information.
I'll send you guys the template. I have it on my computer.
Within Canva, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because I mean, the header stays the same. You just change the name of the client and the address. They change the pictures and they change the scope. Price.
Yep.
The pie graph doesn't actually change. It's not showing a real percentage, or is
it's fluff. It makes it look like you did more work than you did.
Yeah. Okay. I was just clarifying that. Okay. Okay. So back to the 30% proposal. Like, so we don't know how to come up with the 30% number in a systematic way. When I do it, I'm way off. So I want a systematic approach. So what do you think about the idea of creating a calculator that it's a more simplified, I mean, better than the marketing calculator, but something that we can use internally?
It sounds like he's talking, Lane, it sounds like he's talking about a improved version of QuoteCon.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a tool out there for that.
Not necessarily. So when Ken's doing his 30% accurate representation of the client, this is before we sign the design agreement, and what he's communicating them, it's based off of square footage. For example, our additions, we know historically cost between $275 and $400 a foot. Now it's edging more towards $450 a foot. So basically it's just whatever the square footage is of what we think is the scope multiplied by the multiplier there. That's how we come up with the X and Y range.
And the conversation always comes, I want a 10 by 20 bonus room. Okay, that's going to be $400,000 based on this number. This is what roughly square footage is. oh, well, what if we cut it to 10 by 30? I mean, or whatever, 10 by 15. That always happens. So that allows the client to reduce the scope for you so that you can have the same amount of, you can still make your money and not you have to reduce your price to meet their scope.
Right.
That happens all the time when on the square footage stuff. People always, I'll lower the square footage so that I can get more. But again, it's like Lane was saying, there's so many different variables. A shed roof versus a hip roof is going to do two completely different costs, right? Framing, labor, material, trim, siding, whatever. It could be a significant difference. And when someone just says they want an addition, well, you don't know enough information to know one way or the other. So that's why it's only 30% accurate. There's so many details that you don't know up front. They can give you, I mean, obviously the more details they give you, the more accurate you can get it, but it's all about time and education. You only have so much time to spend with each prospect, right? Because they're not clients yet, they're just prospects. You only have so much time to spend with them. So you got to get the most value for your time and dollar. And I mean, in theory, you only spend time with people that hire you, right? I mean, if that were best in a perfect world, you only meet people that hire you, right? But that doesn't happen. So you've got to balance time, energy, and education with you that you have with the client with the close rate and how many contracts you get.
So Justin, based on what you described, I like that idea because that differential changes from an addition to a kitchen to a bathroom, and it also changes by square foot. I think that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and create that calculator based on product and square footage, and we'll preload in just in an Excel spreadsheet, preload in the diffs to come up with the X and Y, and you could do that right in front of the client.
Well, that's why I think it would, because
That's awesome.
I do the process that you do, Ken, or you did do, where we'll roughly say, hey, it generally costs us this to do a kitchen of this size, but it feels so off the cuff. I would like the ability to sit down with a client and say, ask them a series of 15 questions and just say, hey, this is the number that it's likely going to fall between based on these sets of questions, knowing that it's conceptual and going to be off. I just feel like it'll give them a level of comfort that they don't get when I just am like, oh, it's going to be 80 to 120.
So tell you what,
Go ahead.
I'll build out. I'll rough this in based on product and just the normal kind of breakpoints, like a 500,000 square foot addition. You break out the kitchens, and then Vaughn, I'd like from you to give me a safe low end and a safe high end, and then from there we can create the product Justin is asking for.
We may have something available to us though. We're meeting with Adam Katz on Monday, and it's a calculator he's developing that he's willing to let us use.
Okay.
So rather than reinvent the wheel, maybe we could look at what he has and
let us meet with him first.
Cool.
Well, so I was going to say two things. One, SOP for a PD is to never give numbers on that first meeting, because it's human nature to try to give a lower price because you feel like it's too expensive. I was told a long time ago that when you're given a price for remodeling, if it doesn't make you want to throw up, it's not high enough. So don't, I mean, I do it too, right? You want to please the customer. It seems expensive, you know what I mean? But it is expensive. I mean, custom remodeling is hard. It's a lot of moving parts, and it is very expensive. That's just reality.
So answer this question, Ken. Okay, so I'm the client and you're at that first meeting. Can you just give me a rough idea of what it's going to cost? How would you answer that?
Absolutely. When I send you my proposal, it'll have a good range of costs, but based on other projects and what I think it's going to be.
So you're not budging. You're giving them no idea, how rough it is.
I will tell you, it would be a waste. It's worthless. That's not. I mean, that's the reality of it. I could give you a number, but it's worthless, and I don't want to lie to you.
Small kitchen. You guys have surely done 100 small kitchens like this.
Yeah, but I've done a small kitchen for $60,000, and I've done a small kitchen for $260,000.
Yeah,
that's the reality of it. I mean, I'm doing a kitchen right now that has $120,000 worth of cabinetry in it. That's what I tell them. I just can't because what happens, inevitably what happens, and remember, this is not you. You're going to have a PD out there that works for you doing this, right? So inevitably what happens is you don't think through everything when you're giving them that number. Whereas when you go back to your office and you sit down and you do the square footages, you look at the roof lines, you look at the setbacks, you look at you start thinking through, what is it going to take to do that? Is it going to be a tight crawl space? Is it going to be a slab? Maybe things you're not thinking about when you're on the spot. Then that helps you to get a better gauge of what it actually is going to be. And then also you're more confident at that point to give them a number versus off the cuff right in front of them in their face. You kind of want to please them and give them a lower number. And that almost always happens. And historically, it almost always happened with me. You give a lower number up front, but then you come back with a higher number later. So I would just say, let me do my homework. Let me look at what other. Now, this is what you can do if they really, really push you and you want to do it. And this tactic does work. I have done a kitchen for your neighbor, because we do kitchens. I mean, we've done projects in all of Durham, right? I did a project for your neighbor that was in the same value home as this, and they spent $150,000. That doesn't mean this kitchen's going to cost $150,000, but it means that your neighbor.
Yeah, that could vary 40% based on the quality of the cabinetry and your different selections of appliances. And so you tell them like this number doesn't mean anything because
I can tell you right now, our kitchens right now with appliances are 140 to 170 on average right now. That's kind of our standard kitchen.
That's nothing fancy kitchen.
That's just like our normal kitchen now. Where they used to be like 100 to 120, we're like they're like closer to 140 to 180 now. Now you can get a baller kitchen, for like 220 or 230, but that's kind of pretty standard kitchen for us now.
Yeah, our
bathrooms are 70 to 100 or 250.
What if I told you that would be our cost?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you need a new cabinet line.
It's not cabinets.
It's not cabinets.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. Okay, estimating.
But you know what? Me making that statement is also incorrect, because one thing that I keep remembering that I need to disconnect from is the fact that we're changing the way we do this. Build and design are two different contracts. So when you look at Klein, it's a home run at $375,000. Well, $30,000 of that is design. It's all lumped together. It's actually a $40,000 kitchen.
You've already completed the kitchen?
Yeah.
Can you send me your EVA on that job?
Yes.
So I can see where you spent the money, why it was so expensive.
Hey, Vaughn, would you send us your last 10 completed so Ken and I can do a study of your EVAs and tell you where we think you're too high?
I don't have great EVAs on 10, but I can send you the ones that I've.
Okay.
Send me the ones you got. The more data I have, the more accurate trends I can try to find and try to help you to figure out costs. Because even on that, like my gut says that sounds like you spent too much, but I'm trying to figure out where the money went. How did you spend that much money?
One of them was
in-house for a kitchen. The only thing we really would do in-house would be set the cabinets, and even really we sub that a lot of times. So I mean, what your guys are doing in-house, they're not plumbing, they're not countertops, they're not tile, they're not doing lighting, they're not doing electrical, they're not painting, they're not doing drywall, right? So what are they doing in a kitchen?
We're getting hyper focused on Klein. It just she picked a custom cabinet line outside from an outside company because she was very picky, and I think most of the job that was the driver for the large price.
Well, I'm in the process. We're Lane and I are in the process of potentially buying a custom cabinet manufacturing company. So if that happens, then we'll hopefully have some direct lower cost and faster delivery cabinets for all our RC clients.
Yep. We'll have to hot shot it to them though.
Oh, no, you just deliver it, maybe $800. Deliver it. I might have to come stay with you guys if Chiefs go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
I was just talking about that earlier today.
That's right. Well, I forgot we got the Super Bowl out here shortly.
Arizona
and the FedEx golf tournament, or the Waste Management golf tournament.
Yeah,
same day. Ken, if the Chiefs don't go to the Super Bowl, I got us tickets. We go party on the 16th hole.
I like it.
With Justin.
So Justin, you had any success, any jobs that you've sold since, good jobs you sold since recently or since I left?
No, I've sold 0 jobs since you guys have been brought on board.
Okay.
So, how
many proposals have you sent out?
None.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, none. None. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. That's not true. No. So I was working on, I had some things in the funnel prior to you guys coming on that I can't remember if I've sent proposals out after you guys came on or
Gotcha,
before. But they were still kind of live, I would say. But all that has fizzled out. And I would say the primary reason was price.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So okay, so
You get that monthly newsletter out to your past clients for sure, pretty soon.
yeah. All right, we're talking about HubSpot estimating.
At some point, some conversations about estimating, because all of the estimates are done in co-construct for you, right?
Yes, and I was about to ask you, when you send me your EVA, well, can you also send me the plans? I'd like to estimate it myself before for whatever job you want to do, the client or anyone, doesn't matter. Send me a job that's not crazy. I don't know, like a whole house $1 million remodel, like a between $100,000 and $500,000 job. Let me estimate it on my side before I look at your EVA, and then we'll compare the two.
That's awesome.
I'll estimate it in co-construct line item by line item, just like if I was doing the job myself, and then we'll compare the two. Obviously, there's going to be a difference in, I mean, I don't know how much your plumber is more expensive than my plumber or whatever. I mean, my guys, I pay them the same as you pay your guys. I think 35 an hour or whatever. So I think those will all be closed. Project management time will be the same. I think I mean, you might have a different sub pricing or something like that, but materials are going to be what they are. So those are controlled costs. So I'll put in what I think they would have been for the job, and we can change it based on what they actually are. And we'll do that after I do it. But I just want to do that. I want to do that test and just kind of see how close we are. And that between that and looking at your couple of EVAs, we might be able to figure out why things are so expensive. Because the reality of it is, it doesn't really, the retail, like if you get your costs down, you'll sell more jobs and you'll make more money. You know what I mean? You do got to get your costs down, because even if you sold a job for X and you get your costs down, then you're either going to make more GP or you're going to do more or sell more jobs. Right? One of the two. And so if you lower, you're going to lower the retail and sell more jobs, or keep the same retail price and make more GP if you lower your cost. So I'm always looking for opportunities to lower cost, because cost is just money in, money out, right? And none of that goes to you or your company or overhead, or that, right? There's no GP. So actual cost, that's money in a job and money out. The lower you can get that by job, the better, right? Obviously, that's the objective.
What are your thoughts on? Sorry, this is kind of a
You're fine.
Unrelated. Thoughts of putting the marketing calculator on our webpage.
We have a version of it on our webpage, don't we?
Yeah, in the contact us.
Yeah, we have a version of it on ours.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a very dumbed down version of it.
Yeah, but if they're already at your website, I mean, you're really like that. Then
Golden.
If I go to your website and I'm looking and I live in your area and I want to do a kitchen remodel and I don't hire you, then like there's something on your website that says I shouldn't hire you. I haven't really studied. I've looked at your website. I think it's nice. I haven't studied it very well, but I probably should.
Okay.
I think if someone goes to my website, like, because I have pricing on my website and all that stuff. Outside of price, I feel like if someone makes it to my website and they can't afford me, they want to hire a remodeling company and they're in my area, I feel like that they're going to hire me, or at least give me the opportunity. Yeah. Like that, I feel that confident. So I don't know. I mean, and the traffic and the math says that. But there's obviously going to be people that bounce. There's obviously people going to CQC and they're actually looking for care quality, right? There's obviously people that just don't. But if I feel like they're actually my ideal client in my area and they go to my website, I think my website's better than everyone.
If they have the money, they're going to contact us. If price is a concern, they're going to look at our website like, no.
Yeah, and that's fine. And
that's totally good.
We don't want to waste your time. Your time's too valuable.
That's so good.
30, 50, 80 contract price. Co-construct is only used for the construction contract price, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So you're using other tools for your 30, 50, 80.
How can the running estimate from ballpark to when we get to final numbers?
I mean, I think we are using, as soon as after we go do the measure meeting, that's the first chance that the design team has had a chance to look at the job outside the PD. So they go measure the job, they do existing conditions, measure existing conditions, and before they, that within that first week, before they start doing work on the job, they meet with the PD, and and that's in the PD SOP, and we'll give you that when he gives you the list of meetings. They meet with the PD and they say, we think this not enough money. If that's the case, then they go to the client and say, your budget's 380. Now that we've had our architect, our designer, everyone look at this job, and we've gone through some things and done more homework, and we're that 30% of the way, we're there. We think it's going to be more expensive than what we thought it was, or we're on target. No problem. If
This is for the 50% number you're proposing?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
How is that number generated? Yes, we do tell the client that it's based on this information, but behind the scenes, what is that information based on? A gut feel?
It's based on the historical data and the collective knowledge and of an architect, project director, and the lead designer, or whoever's the lead design on that.
And the construction director, if they're
Do that
stuck.
now. Justin tells him a price. He comes back. I tell him it's way too low and he needs to jump in the lake.
But that needs to happen within the first week. In our SOP, is that happens at the first week. That the PD contacts the client, explains why, explains what the architect says, explains what the designer says, maybe shows another job that's similar and what it costs and how similar it is to what they want, something, whatever they need to do to try to sell it. Because again, their objective is to get that job sold, but get it sold in a way that it can actually be produced for their budget or as close as possible. But we tell them, but it is our SOP that if they say no, they don't want to raise their budget and they don't want to trim their scope, and those are the two options they have to meet it, then we give them their design money back, and we just
100%.
100%. That's just SOP. But you do that in the first week, so that way you're closer. And then, once you've actually done some existing conditions, done your first red line, your first draft, you're starting to kind of build out. Remember, you and I talked about this last time. So building out a rough budget with, like, I know in a kitchen, a plumber is going to cost $5,500. I know in a kitchen, this size cabinets are going to be roughly $25,000. I know the hardwood floors are going to be $7,000, roughly, right? You build that out, you kind of get those pieces, and between that, the designs, like let's say they come in the designs and they say, we want a 60-inch dual fuel, large hood, tile backsplash, whatever. That's more grander than what you knew you were expecting it to be. That probably adds 15,000 to that number. Then that next meeting you have with them, you explain that to them and where that's at and the way it's trending, and they either shrink it back down and go to a 48-inch range, or they say, I'm willing to spend that extra money that that you didn't know in the first meeting, because you can't possibly get every detail from them in one meeting. And if you do, you're there too long, right? Because you're not close. They're just a prospect. Remember, we got back to that earlier conversation. You want to spend as little time with prospects as possible, with as many prospects as possible, so that you have the highest opportunity to close the job. Now, once they're a client, it's different. Once they paid you money, then you're in love with them.
Okay, so they paid us money based on that proposal that you guys sent today.
Yep.
In that first week, is the designer meeting the client?
So that week I'm talking about,
Yeah.
that is the week after the measure meeting, the first measure meeting.
Week after, not
So
after.
this could be
but
4
after
months
that.
down the road.
So Justin, our exposure before we cross the point of no return, where we'll be willing to give them their money back, is that measure meeting. And so the labor in that for us is our senior draftsman. When you look at his fully burdened labor rate to us, it's about $51 an hour. So we're risking $102 to make sure that we're going to actually build something that we draw.
I hate drawing shit I don't build. Like, that is my pet peeve. Can't stand it.
Yeah. Okay.
One, I don't make any much money on design, and two, it's loss of opportunity. I could have been drawing a job that I'm going to build.
Yeah, I just hate redrawing stuff for free.
Yeah. So I think Vaughn was still fishing for one piece of the 50% number. What is is there actually software used to build an estimate? No.
Hey, here at BMW Builders, they've been using clear estimates, which
That's right, clear estimate.
yeah, which which pulls on the NAHB's survey of labor costs, and I mean, and then they use a couple different regression analysis. I would never build, I would never sell a job based off of the numbers they give us, but it's like, I don't know, 80% accurate.
That's right. So I've totally forgotten this. So you told me to use clear estimates as a 30% number. So
Yeah.
we need to go through that. Like, how do I utilize that?
Yeah. So tell you what,
Well,
tomorrow,
let's
let's get a,
remember too, we're meeting with Adam, right? And
Yeah, but he has a process
oh, okay.
using this software.
now guys, the only reason why I say I have a process is CQC doesn't use clear estimates because we have a big in-house staff. My company in Columbus, Ohio, Buckeye uses it. BMW, which is also a smaller shop, uses it. I'd be happy to let's get ourselves a subscription and we'll get clear estimates set up. It's really great. We just put in the square footage and what we think we're going to build, and it spits back a reasonably accurate breakdown of costs.
And are they using that in front of the client? Are they filling that out in front of the client ever?
No,
They're doing it.
yeah, we tell them, hey, we're going to do our homework, right?
Yeah.
And so we go back to the office, fucking use clear estimates. Takes 10 minutes, but looks like we spent 3 hours on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Ken, you're going to maybe tomorrow we can talk about clear estimates more.
You mean Lane? Yeah, I'd love to.
Lane.
Yeah, Ken and I look so much alike. I'm kidding. Yes, sir. Let me pull this up. So we have, fuck me. We have our HubSpot meeting tomorrow at 12:30. Do you want to do that on the backside of the HubSpot?
Sure.
All right, we'll do that. Cool. Hey, Ken, you there? It looks like he went to the bathroom. What else you got?
I put a couple of these things on the issues list for you.
Cool.
Ken.
At some point, Vaughn wants to,
Yeah.
wants to work with the CQC's estimator.
Yeah. Hey,
to
Ken,
discuss in a very granular way how to come up with an estimate.
could Vaughn fly out to CQC to shadow our estimator in Ryan in building out an estimate?
Mhm.
Sweet.
He's so busy right now. We're having to hire another estimator.
Yep.
Okay. We could
So guys, hey,
it could
Justin,
start as a Zoom meeting, just as a conversation.
yeah. So guys, just shoot me when you want to come out. I'll get it set up for you.
Can we first do a Zoom meeting rather than just, so that way at least Vaughn can start to have a better sense of it, so he has better questions than when that does actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me your EVAs first. Let me estimate one of your jobs. And then I'll do that before next week's meeting. And then after we do that, then we'll set up that'll give you the first step, and then the second step we'll set up where you can
One-on-one with Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you saw he's estimating every job, right? So he's got
so busy.
got every job from here. So that's 7, 8, 9 plus all of these jobs. So he's got, I don't know, 20 jobs that he's estimating. And they're all different phases.
Do you have any sense of how many hours he puts in to estimate, say, a whole house remodel, say a 3,500 square foot house?
I don't have a sense off the top of head, but I can pull a report on any job and tell you exactly how many hours he spent on it.
Okay.
I can do that by next meeting if you'll blame.
I just wonder if he builds an estimate in 5 hours or 35 hours.
Add that question to the issues list. That way I don't forget, so that we come prepared with an answer.
Yeah, so we are almost done estimating. You said a big one. Goop does a whole house. It's $1 million, $1 million remodel. We're just about done with it, about to go to contract. So I'll see how many hours he's invested in estimating that.
Nice.
Guaranteed doctor, right?
Yep, that's right.
Gupta?
Yeah, he's a heart surgeon.
Yeah, that's right.
And his wife is a cancer doc.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's huge out there too.
Oh yeah. Actually, so they've already paid 120,000 for the cabinets.
Yeah. I do have a relationship. Oh, maybe I could ask you about that. So this meeting, so I have one realtor meeting scheduled. It's on Monday,
Good job.
but really it's what is that? A 15-minute meeting typically look like? And basically the value I'm bringing is, of course, I can meet with him to discuss potential remodel opportunities, costs, things like that, walk the house with him.
Yeah. Hey, Justin,
Do you
the
offer
other,
any other value besides that?
yeah, Justin. So the way you want to use it, put it in realtor language, and that is, hey, when you're negotiating a deal, and you need a credible bid to extract a concession out of a seller, or to set budget expectations with a buyer, I'm happy to work out that math with you. But the catch is Ken charges $250 a unit if they haven't referred us business.
And it takes me about 25 minutes to do it.
25 minutes, and you're doing a site visit?
No site visit. They just send me the report and I give them a number for each line item and add it up and give them a total.
So no one from your company is ever walking, because what I do now is I have a relationship with probably 3 real estate agents, and they're like, hey, we're going to go look at a house with a client. They want to know what the potential remodel opportunities are and what are the potential costs. And I'll actually go there, we'll walk it. They say, yeah, we'd like to open this up, blah, blah, blah. And then
we're speaking 2 different things. Yeah, absolutely we do that. I do that. But I don't just do it for anybody. I do it for credible realtors.
Okay.
But
So
yes,
what
I
am
do
I
exactly that.
What I don't sound so now I'm a little confused. What, like, to a brand new realtor that I have no idea if they're good, bad, whatever. What am I proposing one more time to them?
I'll tell you that real quick, and then I got to go. But let's start with, we actually have a tool that we can tell you exactly how much business they've done, because we can look up every single transaction they've done. So if you're going to meet a realtor, no, not the MLS. It's tool. It's the tool that Homeboy gave.
Yeah, it pulls data from the MLS though.
yeah, but I mean, we can look up the realtor's actual book of business and see how much, like in the last year, how much business they've done. If they've only sold 1 or 2 houses, they're not a strong realtor. So you're not going to want to invest too much time and energy in them. If they've sold, 30 million, then there's somebody you want to spend a lot of time and energy with, right? And then you can just kind of make that decision based on your gut and meeting them and how much business they've done. But to answer your question, go ahead.
Well, what kind of quality? So I'm now getting emails of conversations that were had with realtors. Do I need to vet them, or do I need to just assume that they've been vetted?
Ken meets with all of them, but he does the homework beforehand to know if this is a scrub or if this is a player. And if it's a scrub, he gives them the old spiel of if you need pricing, I'll happy to help you, $250 a pop. If they're a whale, then he uses your approach.
Yep, exactly right.
Okay, and then so what? Can you tell me how you do that vetting, Ken?
What I just told you, like we'll look up their book of business. That's gonna be the best way to do it.
I'll send you the access to the software. So
we have a tool to do that.
Yeah, that's what I need, the tool.
Yeah, I'll send you the access, boss.
But to answer your question, the three main things you offer are the one thing you just said. And again, you can tell them that you offer it to them and never give it to them. Doesn't matter. You're just telling them what you do for realtors, for good realtors that refer you business, right? So because it's a win-win relationship. I mean, obviously, you could refer them business, but never actually refer them business, or you could refer them all your business. You can refer them all your friends. I have relationships with tons of realtors, but what you're telling them is you'll walk through a house with a potential client and tell them roughly what's possible and roughly what it's going to cost, right? Can you open up this wall? Is it possible? Roughly how much is it going to cost? Yes, you can. It's going to be $25,000. Blah, 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 whatever. Like that's your walkthrough.
So service number one is client walkthroughs.
Yep.
What's service number two?
Service number two is every realtor wants to have especially a legitimate company, a GC in their back pocket that they can call or text and get information when they're walking houses and they don't know the answer. For example, last week I got a text from a client, a realtor with a picture walking through the house, and there was no stove in place, and they had a gas line and an outlet. And they text me and said, "Hey, Mr. GC," I mean, talking to me, right? Why does this have a gas and electric? What type of stove would go here? Because they don't know to tell the clients, asking them, and they don't know the answer to it. So, and I tell them it's dual fuel because I know what that means. So it's a gas top electric oven, right? Or vice versa. So they don't know that, but I have that knowledge, so I can just answer that and be a resource to them, and then they're a resource to their client, and it makes them feel more valuable because they want to be able to have all the answers for their client, so they feel more like they offer more to value to the client.
Service number two is construction Wikipedia.
Yep. And then the last one is like he was just saying is I price out inspection reports for realtors. I charge if they are a bum, and if they're not a bum, I'll do them for free, but it only takes me about 25 minutes to do. So it's an investment in the long game.
Which, guys, we could use Clear Estimates to speed that up even faster.
Yeah. And then you just they use that as a tool for negotiation and leveraging on the price of the house. And then they appreciate you doing that, and they refer you more business.
So service number three is inspection report pricing or estimating.
And if it's a new realtor, just charge for it. It'll take you 25 minutes. The client sends you $250. They'll send you the check first before you do anything. And then you just spend 25 minutes, put the numbers on a spreadsheet, add it up, send it to them. Done.
Yeah.
So in summation, service number one, client walkthroughs. Service number two, real-time construction advice. Service number three is inspection report bids.
Okay.
And then you tell them, like, happy to do that. With the scrubs, what you tell them is like, hey, I got to charge it $250 a pop, but once we've established a two-way relationship, I'm happy to do this for free.
Okay.
All right. I got to get ready to roll, guys. I got my Home Builder Association annual meeting and Christmas party tonight. So I got to go hit the gym real quick and then come back and get ready to go at 5:30.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
We're good.
See you guys as always.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Justin, I'll stay on if you have anything more.
Okay. Do you have anything?
I don't. Next week we're going to review rocks, because I need to know what my highest priorities are. I know I'm currently vetting subs. I need to try to look at how Builder Trend can create estimates and templates for estimates. I can work on that.
Vaughn, your highest leverage right now is going to be when number one, this isn't going to take a lot of time from you in the short term, but that's working with Ken so that we can understand where we're high, where we're low, because that's going to dictate where we need to expand our sub market. Does that make sense? That's priority number one. Priority number
two is we need to expand in all areas.
Yep, I know.
Produce less self-performing.
Yep.
And maybe find some different, maybe some of our established relationships are taking advantage of us.
I know they are, because we're not doing enough volume to be a meal ticket for any one trade. And at the same time, they know that we're only dealing with that one person. So yeah, we got to get some new blood in.
When that's the answer is all the above.
Yep.
So, okay.